Good evening and welcome to this evening's webinar. Tonight we'll be looking at STEAM in early education, and we in Portobello, we've recently implemented First Lego League Discover into the Portobello early year setting. And over the course of the last few weeks, we've been following that research and following the engagement of the children and developing strategies for enhancing their concepts of STEAM language. We're lucky this evening to have with us Ross Maguire from Learn It and Pauline Maguire from Learn It, and they will be talking to us about the resources that we have put in place and how the children have been engaging with those. Welcome, folks.
Okay. Thank you very much, Margarita. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking your time this evening to come and listen to me talk, and everybody else is going to join in later on. So my name is Ross Maguire. I'm from a company called Learn It, and I'm here to tell you about First Lego League Discover. So my role today, or this evening, is just to give you a brief introduction into what First Lego League is all about and what the Discover program is about. And I'm going to pass you over to my wife, Pauline Maguire there, who also started Learn It with me 12 years ago at this stage now. And she's going to talk to you more about STEM and playful learning and how First Lego League Discover enables children to engage in STEM and playful learning. So let's get started. So what is First Lego League? So First Lego League is a global STEM program. It's in over 110 different countries. This year, there'll be over 700,000 young people around the globe that will take part in First Lego League initiatives. They will participate in over 4,000 different events. It's absolutely huge. It's fantastic. It's something it's really close to my heart. I've been working on First Lego League for the last 4 years, and I absolutely love the opportunities that it gives young people. So we've got First and we have Lego. I'm sure you all know what Lego is at this stage. I'm sure many of you have it stuck in your Hoover or down the back of your couch. But who are First? So First is actually an acronym. They're a US nonprofit, and it stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. It was created initially by a guy called Dean Kamen. Some of you may, well, most people don't know who he is. Dean Kamen invented the Segway, that kind of two-wheel scooter that balances by itself. And the whole concept behind developing First was literally to, I suppose, recognize and inspire young people to get engaged in science and technology. They have a tagline where they call it sport for the mind. And it was literally that. It was to get young people to kind of not get competitive with it, but to really think about and get engaged and interested in STEM. And in the US, we've got huge big events and finals and all these sort of things. They're absolutely massive, with up to 40,000 kids coming along and demonstrating their engagement in science and technology. So First partnered with Lego, the Lego group, so Lego and Lego Education, and that's how First Lego League was established. And it's developed and run primarily by Lego Education with the involvement of First as well. So we often get asked, is there a first, second, and third Lego League? There isn't. There's only one First Lego League, but it's broken up into 3 separate divisions. So we have First Lego League Discover, which is what we're going to be focusing on this evening. So Discover is aimed at 4 to 6 year olds. So that's early years into junior infants and onto senior infants. Then we have First Lego League Explore, which would be 2nd class up to 5th class. And then we have First Lego League Challenge, and that would go from 6th class up to TY in the Irish school system. Now, what's really cool about First Lego League is the concept is constant and consistent across all 3 of these divisions. So even in early years and what those young kids are going to be working on, there are many, many similarities to what a transition year student might be doing. They'd be working with different resources. In early years, the focus is on play. When you get to TY, you're building big advanced robots. But there is a lot of consistencies across that. The team every year is consistent. What they're learning about and what they're discovering is the same across all 3 divisions. And across everything are the First Lego League core values, and they flow throughout each of the 3 divisions. So who runs First Lego League? Ourselves, learn it, but the IET, the Institution of Engineering and Technology. So in the UK and Ireland, the IET oversee everything First Lego League, and the IET are absolutely huge. I don't know if you realised the week before Paddy's Week there was Engineers Week here in Ireland, which is run by Engineers Ireland, and they'd be kind of the equivalent of the Institution of Engineering and Technology, but the IET are like Engineers Ireland on steroids. They're massive. They're represented in 150 countries, over 155,000 members. And they create a lot of the regulations for electronics, technical references for companies and housing. But as well as that, they have an educational arm. That's the IET Education. And they operate several different initiatives with a focus on engaging young people in STEM, in science, technology, engineering, and maths. And First Lego League is just one of those initiatives, the biggest one of them. That they run, and with them they have a team within there. I think some of them may be on this call this evening. We've Lucy and Liv and Demi and Rosie, all part of operating First Lego League in all of the divisions. Now we partner, so Learn It, which is myself and Pauline's company, we partner with the IET to deliver First Lego League in the Republic of Ireland. So we started 12, 13, I think it's 12 years ago, 2010. We started, and we live and breed Lego. I'm sure you'll see behind me here, I've many elements of Lego because they've been kicked out of the house and they're down in the office now. But we live and breed Lego, and we've been working with Lego in education since 2010. And our motto, our mission statement is to inspire the creators of tomorrow. That's what we're all about, and that's our passion. And I suppose we've the same passion as the IET. We want to inspire young people to engage in STEM. So engage in technology, engage in engineering, to wonder how the world works, and to use technology to innovate and create, as opposed to using technology to watch Netflix or watch YouTube videos. And that's what we do through First Lego League. And as well as that, just last one to throw in there as well, you see them mentioned at the bottom. So Science Foundation Ireland. So the IET and ourselves, we jointly have been supported by Science Foundation Ireland to help us develop and grow First Lego League here in Ireland. So thanks to them for enabling us to do that. So I suppose this evening, the focus is on First Lego League Discover, and not so much on First Lego League Discover. That's not the focus. That's just what I'm talking about. But it really is on about playful learning and engaging young people in early years education in STEM and enabling them to discover STEM, hence the name First Lego League Discover. So what is First Lego League Discover? Like, what's it all about, and how do you engage in it, or what do you need to engage in First Lego League Discover? So it's the introductory program into First Lego League, and it enables young people to develop key habits of learning through play. And play is the most important element there. First Lego League Discover, you're going to hear lots of talking about engineering, technology, and future skill reports and all of this sort of stuff. It sounds really, really advanced, but kids are going to, you will be amazed at what they will engage in and what they will discover as they literally play with Lego when they're taking part in this program. The team changes every year. So First Lego League Discover is linked to a real world team, and every year there's a different one. Pauline's going to talk a little bit more about that later on. And they work together in teams. So in Discover, they work in teams of up to 4, and they're going to discover basic science and engineering concepts such as forces and motion. They'll discover people in their communities that are engaged in science and technology. It'll get them asking questions and discovering what is science, who is an engineer, what does an engineer do. They discover so much more as well. They work as a team throughout the program. It runs over 10 one-hour sessions, but is incredibly flexible to be delivered within your setting. They work in teams throughout the program, and they'll work together to design a solution to a real world problem. Now, it sounds very, very advanced, but they're literally playing with Lego, and they're going to build cool and awesome inventions related to the team for that year. So what do they do? I keep talking about building and Lego. So what do they need to engage in this? So you'll see here we have our core sets that you are required to engage in First Lego League Discover. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the Lego Education STEAM Park Kit. So that is the core component to engage in First Lego League Discover. It's an amazing kit. I'll talk a little bit about it in a sec. But that set there is what you would have, and you'd use that set every single year. That's all your core elements, and especially it's called a STEAM park. So your science, technology, your engineering, and maths, there's loads in there to enable children to discover STEAM. And then to the right of that, you'll see the First Lego League Discover resources. So in the middle there, you will see the Inspire set for this year. You see the theme is called Cargo Connect. So it's all about how cargo is transported around the world. So when you register for Discover, you receive that. You receive the 6 bricks. I could spend hours telling you how amazing and awesome 6 bricks is, but I won't. That's a different session. But the kids and the facility will receive the 6 brick sets, and then you see the team meeting guide and engineering notebook there as well. So the kits themselves, like I mentioned, the STEAM Park kit there, like there is a vast amount of resources that are included in that kit. And you'll see here just an example of some of the pieces in it. Like I'm sure you all know what Lego is, but like these Lego education resources are really cool. People always see them and they've never seen it before, and they're like, where do you get it? It's not something you get in Smith's or Argos. They're specifically designed for educational settings. And you'll see here we've got gears, we've got pulleys, we've doors, swings, we've turntables, we've got trolley wheels, we have levers, we even have cannons in there for aiming at our fun fairs. We've got seesaws, some really, really cool elements. And when you think about when we're talking about STEAM and the idea of discovering simple concepts such as forces and motion, we've got gear systems in there. We have pulley systems. We have levers. Like I spend my life working with third-year college students, discovering robotics and technology through the use of Lego. And even at that, they're still learning these core concepts, the exact same as what kids in early years and in junior and senior infants can discover using the STEAM Park kit there itself. There's characters, they have stories and backgrounds to go with everything. It's really, really cool. There's tons of it all scattered around our house. I can hear my son calling me now because he wants me to go up and play Lego with him as well. So that's the STEAM Park kit there that you use. So that's the resource that you use to engage in First Lego League Discover. The other element that you receive as well. So when you register for the Discover program, you receive some workbooks and guides. So every child that engages in Discover gets an engineering notebook, and this is their kind of book to record their journey. And you'll see that there's lots of space there for them to draw prototypes and their ideas for their crazy inventions, to make notes of their stories. There's coloring in sheets. There's lots of really nice little elements there for them to engage in as they, I suppose, progress through the Discover program. And then for the facilitators, so the teacher or the classroom leader, there is the team meeting guide. And that's broken out, as I said, it's 10 sessions. It's there for you to dip in and out of as you see fit, but it's literally fully mapped out there for you, starting from your warming up session for 10 minutes, getting them engaged. You've got different tasks, you've got tidying up. So it's all fully mapped out there. Literally that if I was to give you a box of STEAM Park, give you the Discover resources and say, have a read of the team meeting guide, it's not very long, so it wouldn't take you long to read through it. You'd be ready to get started and engage with Discover in your setting. As well as that, we've lots of other resources on our website. We have it linked to Ashter and lots of other stuff to tie it in with the Irish curriculum. So that's the Discover program. Hopefully it's given you a bit of insight as to what First Lego League is all about, the resources that you can use to engage young people in STEAM in your classroom, and I suppose a little bit more as to what's engaged in the First Lego League. There'll be lots more information. I know Pauline has more to share with you now. And I'm going to pass you over to Pauline, who's going to talk more about, I suppose, STEAM in early years and playful learning. So Pauline, over to you. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thanks so much, Ross. Ross has to go now because he needs to go and collect our child from the Girl Guides. Just a little fact there for you all. So, hi, my name is Pauline. I'm a co-founder of Learn It, and I'm also the e-learning manager here at Portobello Institute. My background is in early years. I set up a Montessori preschool in 2006, which I ran until 2018. And then I took a bit of a career U-turn in 2018, did a master's in e-learning, and I'm now working in Portobello Institute. So this has been a really nice kind of full circle moment for me, kind of coming back into Portobello Institute and being able to support Natasha in implementing First Lego League Discover. within her setting. So today I'm going to be discussing a little bit about the introduction of STEAM into an early years setting using First Lego League Discover. Just to kind of point out that within this presentation, I'm going to be referring to STEAM and to STEM interchangeably. And I suppose the reason for that is because they are interchangeable. STEM is concerned with the study of science, technology, engineering, and maths. And the A is the art that's added into it. But I suppose I kind of steer away from calling it STEAM, because I always worry that people think that by adding the A in, that it's the art part is this, this standalone thing within it. And it's not. What the A stands for is, emphasizing the importance of creativity when you're studying those projects. And particularly when we're talking about developing in an early years setting, that creativity is really important. Although I do know a number of engineers who would tell you that creativity is a cornerstone of being an engineer. So I won't get into that argument today. But I suppose by engaging in any sort of STEAM or STEM activities, children begin to understand how to solve problems creatively, building and deepening their knowledge of scientific concepts and all of those other things within the process. Really, what First Lego League Discover does is it enables children to have playful learning. So when children are engaged in playful STEM experiences, they ignite their natural curiosity and grow their knowledge and develop their habits of learning. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I mean when I say habits of learning. So as any kind of early childhood practitioner will tell you, that in an earlier setting, what we're doing is we're laying down those educational foundations for children. Okay. And it's the same that when we're talking about introducing STEM subjects to students, we aren't talking about, introducing theoretical physics or advanced algebra. We're talking about laying the foundations of knowledge that will enable the students to understand those concepts later on when they go on to study theoretical physics or any of those things. But it's all about laying those foundations of knowledge. First thing that we need to do is we need to lay down the habits of learning first. And these habits are vital for future education and challenges that they need. So these are habits like asking and answering questions, listening, persistence and perseverance, wondering and applying knowledge, teamwork, self-confidence, problem solving, all of those really important fundamental skills for learning. So I suppose we're living in the year 2022. I say to my kids all the time, like, we're living in the future. Children now have access to a range of technologies that were just unimaginable 20 years ago. And if you think about it, like robotics and artificial intelligence are already utilized, across many workplaces. What I find really interesting is, this is a fact I learned a couple of years ago, which is that if you go and buy, oh, look, I have Lego here in front of me, shockingly. If I buy a bag of Lego, the first time that I open this bag of Lego and I take out this piece of Lego, I'm the first human to have touched that piece of Lego, because it's a robotic system that works the whole way through within the factory in Billund. There's robots that bring the plastic in. There's robots that put them into the molds. There's robots that then take them out and sort them out and put them into all of their different pieces. So the first human that will touch, there's a robot there who'll put the boxes into the truck. Even the first human to touch the Lego piece that's inside of the plastic is the person who owns it. So that's the world that we're living in today. And I suppose things are changing at such a quick pace that it stands to reason that we should be educating children in a way that reflects the world, not just that they're living in now, but to give them those foundations, that knowledge and ability to be able to live in the future. And I suppose if you look at, this is the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report, and 5 of the top 10 future skills are based around problem solving and problem solving based skills. So analytical thinking and innovation, complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, originality and initiative, reasoning, problem solving and ideation. All of these are problem solve based skills that are required skills for the workforce in the future. And that's by participating not just in programs like First Lego League Discover, but any sort of problem based programs that we can do with our students. Allowing them the opportunity to think creatively and have critical thinking skills and all of those type of things. That's what will develop those skills for them for the future. So as I just also wanted to point out that the OECD, who are the international organization that helped develop public policies, developed the OECD Future of Education and Skills 2030 project. And as part of this, they developed the Learning Compass, which is an evolving learning framework that sets out kind of the aspirational visions of what the future education would be. So it defines like the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values that learners would need to fulfill their potential and contribute to the well-being of themselves, their community, and the planet. And if you see here, some of the things that they look for is the ability to learn, empathy, collaboration, creativity, innovation, lifelong learning. So these are all fundamental skills that our students need in the future. So I suppose that's what we do within First Lego League and First Lego League Discover. Okay, what we're doing is we're giving the children opportunity to develop these skills and competencies. So within First Lego League sessions, a child is given the opportunity to actively build on their knowledge. So this concept of building and learning as they're building is rooted in Piaget's constructivism. But it was actually Seymour Paper's constructionism, which is the underpinning of all things Lego education and First Lego League. So Paper's constructionism was inspired by constructivism, but what he asserted was that it's not just about the building of things. What's important is that, yes, there's the building and there's the process of building, but what's actually important is the sharing of that product afterwards, and not just the sharing of, oh, this is what I've done. It's the sharing of, this is what I've done and this is how I did it. And it's that kind of, that language of sharing is where that learning happens. So, and I don't know about any of you, but I know for myself, anytime, if I can talk my way through things, that's how I get a deeper understanding of it. So I'll do something and then I'll talk about it afterwards, and that kind of learning seeps in. Okay. So this is a core element of this kind of constructionism, this building entities to learn and discussing it afterwards. That's a core element of what happens within First Lego League Discover and across all of First Lego League. They actively build their project and then they discuss what they build as well as the how and why they built it. And this discussion, even just in the smallest of details that they'll come out, it can be, and Natasha will talk more of this about what was happening in her setting of those little discussions. That's where those little nuggets of learning are actually happening, is within those discussions. And actually, just as an aside is that Seymour Papert, who is the forefather of constructionism, wrote a book called Mindstorms, and the very first Lego robotics kit was called Mindstorms, and it was actually created in collaboration with Seymour Papert. It was called after this book, and in that book is where he first discussed constructionism, just in case anyone's interested in that. So as Ross has already mentioned, each year there are different elements within First Lego League. So there's a different project each year, and all of them are based on kind of real world activities. So for real world themes, I should say. So a couple of years ago it was Mission Moon, and Mission Moon gave the students the opportunity to explore, like, what do you need to know about the moon to live there? What will you eat and drink if you get there? How will you get energy? How will you breathe? What will you do for fun? What other problems would you have to solve while you're there, and so on. The following year we looked at Boomtown Build, and there the teams explored the growing needs and challenges of the people in our community. They help to imagine and create buildings that solve a problem to make life easier or make people happier or more connected. The next year then was Playmakers, and in this they noticed lots of places where people weren't active, and the children were tasked with designing a new way to get people moving. And then this year's theme, as we've already discussed, is Cargo Connect, where children can learn about the transportation of goods. And so they'll think of different ways to sort and transport packages to and from destinations all around the world. And I suppose to say all this is that throughout all of these challenges, the common theme is that the children will be given the opportunity to behave like designers and engineers. They'll get to develop their ability to observe, question, gather information and ask questions. And all the while, they're like building the knowledge and understanding of the knowledge of STEM. And I suppose that's what the underpinning values of First Lego League Discover is. It's about giving students the opportunity to explore the world around them and give them the tools and the language that they need to explore new concepts. So that is my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Pauline. That was really interesting. I see a question just popped up there. Are they the 6B Duplo blocks, or are they smaller?
Yeah, they're Duplo bricks. Yeah,
they're the Duplo ones. Yeah. So they're suitable for the children that are that age.
Yes. Yeah. So it's Duplo bricks.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Can you tell me the name of the theorist behind constructivism? Is Piaget, and constructionism is Seymour Papert.
Oh, the question. Yeah.
I get tongue tied between the two, but that's who they both are.
Very good. Very good. And the idea of the concepts, like, I mean, when you think about, I suppose people talk about science and they talk about STEAM education, they talk about science, technology, maths, and so on. But really, when you think about the Lego and you think about children engaging and building and exploring and all of that, the whole lot's in there together. It's all interlinked, isn't it? Really.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and the underpinning concepts that they're getting, they can take them and put them into play elsewhere. It's really
absolutely.
Really very suitable. Yeah. Very good. Thank you very much, Pauline. Thank you. We're going to now have a little talk from Natasha. Natasha Murphy. She is the manager of our Portobello Montessori School. Hello, Natasha. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. And Natasha has been very busy videoing all this this Lego intervention that's going on at the moment in the setting. And I have to say, I think the children are very excited about it all, aren't they? This new strategy that we have in place.
Absolutely. They're loving every minute. We did one just there last week before St. Patrick's Day celebrations. And when I said the word First Lego League, before I even had the word Lego out, all I could hear was, "Wah!" in the classroom. Like, they just get so excited every time we're going to do this. And I think that's the best part, is that they enjoy it so much. And I don't know who's the bigger child, like probably me, because I enjoy it just as much.
Oh yeah, I know, Natasha. It's probably you, yeah. Without a doubt.
Definitely.
But no, and just like, I mean, Natasha's actually following. We're working on a piece of research at the moment, and Natasha and myself are following the whole process of the implementation of the Lego and the children's engagement and the learning that comes out of that, not only for the children but also for the teachers themselves. So I leave you in Natasha's capable hands while she talks you through the process, and then we'll have a chat later. Okay, thanks, Natasha.
Brilliant. Thanks, Margarita. So as Margarita was saying, my name is Natasha Murphy and I am the manager of Portobello Montessori School, and I also lecture on the Level 5 and Level 6 programs here at Portobello Institute. And really big news, as you know, we are the first preschool in Ireland who are implementing First Lego League, and I could just talk about it all day, a bit like Ross and Pauline. Like, it's so incredible. And I honestly don't know what I ever did without it now. It's just absolutely incredible. And thanks so much to Ross and Pauline as well. Your PowerPoint was absolutely brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm here to talk about STEAM education and First Lego League Discover. I'm going to be talking about how it's getting on in my classroom, how I'm learning as a practitioner, and also how the children are engaging with it as well. So as you all know, STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So STEAM is actually everywhere in your classroom. And I think for me, it took bringing in First Lego League to realize the importance of STEAM and also realize how STEAM is everywhere, because if you just ask a simple question, you can realize the emerging concepts that are coming from it and draw on that and build more information and build more knowledge and everything around it. So for example, like, I'm sure people have jugs in their classroom, whether it's on the shelf in a practical life area or whether it's on the tough tray and there's water and everything there. Like, we're linking this to maths, because children are learning about capacity, volume, measuring. They're also learning about weight. So like, if the water is in the jug, does it weigh more? And, then when it's out, is it lighter? So we're drawing on all of these like underpinning concepts. And then, technology. So if you have like a home corner where you have a old laptop or an old keyboard or a telephone or even a CD player and a CD, just allowing children to explore with these resources. We're touching on technology, and children are learning about, typing and how the letters go onto the screen, and then like that can format an email and it can be sent, and like how is it sent, and how does it go to someone else's laptop, and things like this. Science experiments. I'm sure loads of people celebrate Science Week, things like this. So again, like the exercise, the experiment that I have on the PowerPoint, here we got to talk about colors. We were also talking about, water and the measurements. So they had to measure it into their measuring cups, pour it in and everything. So again, you're linking to that volume, capacity, then how, the food coloring traveled through the tissue and why was that? And we got to predict what we thought would happen, and their faces when the change happens is just incredible. And then they're also teaching them about change as well. Any blocks that you have, so these are our blocks in our outdoor area, so they're building, they're linking to engineering here, they're planning and designing things to make, and then they're figuring out, how we're going to get it to stand, or, how, like even here you can see that one of the children, we have a vertical one, and then we're trying to put one horizontal, but it's not quite fitting, so now they're going to add in another block to help that balance and things like this. And then also we have the arts, so whether that's drama or music or, bringing in your creativity, so doing art, or getting them up to do a role play or anything like that, then we're linking to art. So for example, we might be using different techniques when we're painting or we're drawing, and all of this then is linked to STEAM as well. So it is everywhere. And I think it was First Lego League that helped me realize that, because I suppose it opened my mind up to different areas of my classroom that I was saying like, wow, I really could be expanding on the children's knowledge here too, and I suppose it gave me the confidence to be able to do that as well. So STEAM in early childhood. So it encourages collaboration and peer interactions. It encourages inclusiveness. It provides opportunities for girls to become involved. It promotes a child-led pedagogy as the children take the lead. So it's all child-led and all linked to them. Children become active participants in STEAM education. It encourages exploration and experimentation in a safe, friendly environment. It brings opportunities for self-expression into the classroom, and it supports emerging concepts for children who prefer visual or hands-on learning. For me, I'm very hands-on. I need to be doing stuff to be able to remember it. So I love having a resource like First Lego League that I can do that for my students as well. And it also encourages the child to think outside the box. And they are so good at this, thinking outside the box, using their imagination, using their creativity. Because the first time that I sat down with the Lego, I was like, oh my God, there's just so much. I didn't know what to build. And I nearly blocked myself. Whereas the children, they grabbed every piece they could find. And next minute, someone had a tower, and then someone else had a car, and then someone else was trying to make a carnival, and all of these like wild things. And there was me sitting saying, oh God, what will I build? Or, what piece will I put first? And I nearly thought too much inside the box, trying, rather than just letting myself explore and let go and everything, where that is exactly what the children did. And also even reading these, you can see all the links, like literally Asher is jumping off of the page here. So you can get your links so easily as well to Asher. So the experience of implementing STEAM and First Lego League Discover. So as a practitioner, the journey has opened my eyes to the implementation of STEAM in early years education and the benefits that it has on children, but also on practitioners. So as I said, I was so blocked, and I would have always thought I was very imaginative and creative and everything. But actually, it wasn't until I sat down and was ready to build, that I was like, oh my God, when did I stop thinking outside of the box? And it really reignited that imagination and creativity. And do you know what I love about it? It's just a time where you just stop, you sit down, you interact with the children, you play, and there's so much learning involved, but it's in such a fun and meaningful way. You don't even realize, you know what I mean? It's so much fun. And then First Lego League has introduced new vocabulary to the children, which is really important to me. So my setting is 13 nationalities, and a lot of them, when they start with us, it's their first, transition to the English language. So a lot of parents would speak their home language at home, and I would 100% support that. And then I would, teach them English then in the classroom. And I think because Lego is so fun, and the First Lego League Discover is a chance where children can just explore and also be in a group of up to 4, and they can interact with their peers in a smaller group setting. It really has allowed them to come out of their shells and also gain all the vocabulary from other children, and also from myself and my colleague Katie as well as the practitioner. It's reignited their creativity and imagination, and has also allowed practitioners to become more reflective on our practice and really understand the learning involved in asking children questions. So after First Lego League, I actually started a little diary just documenting like how I felt after each session and what I learned as well, and how I enhanced a child's learning and how I could enhance it further. And it really helped me to become a better practitioner overall. As I was saying, I realized the importance of, building on the underpinning concepts such as capacity and volume and everything when the child is just pouring from one jug to another. And it also allowed me to realize the importance of asking children questions. We're all practitioners here, I'm sure, and we all ask questions, what did you build? Or tell me about your picture, or tell me what you made with the Lego, etc. And I always did that, but I never really focused on their reply to be able to expand on their knowledge and say and note the improvement in the vocabulary. I was asking the question, I was writing down their picture, what they told me and everything, but I never went any deeper than that. And it was First Lego League that really made me realize the importance of questioning. And when we go through the layout of the sessions, you'll see that there, and Ross kind of briefly touched on it, but I'm just going to talk about it from what we do in an earlier setting as well. So the role of the adult is to observe, question, reflect, and also listen. So really important that we're listening attentively to the children, and again, engaging with their answers and being able then to, expand on their knowledge as well. So questions practitioners can ask: what are you building? Tell me more about your design. If a child is building a tall tower and let's just say it falls over, what can we say? So why do you think that fell over? What might you change so that it doesn't fall over the next time? Do you know what I mean? And then ramps. So for adding in a ramp, is it going fast or slow? So if the car is going up the ramp, is it going fast or slow? When it's coming down the ramp, is it going fast or slow? And maybe if it goes really slow up and then it falls back down the ramp, why did it come back down? What happened? Do you want to try it again? What might we change this time? And then cogs, so like little gears, what happens when you use the cogs? So the cogs, they can move around. So when we add that and you put something on top of it and then we move the cog, like what happens? Why are you adding that? What do you want when you add it to the cog? And Albert Einstein said the important thing is to never stop questioning. And children never stop questioning. And we all know that it's what, why, when, how, everything. My brother, who is 12, is still questioning everything. But you know what? He learns so much from it because they're curious beings. So asking all these questions, they're learning so much. And if we ask them questions as well, we can expand on the knowledge, but we can also learn ourselves. And I think that's the best thing, is like, I am learning so much as well. So for First Lego League Discover, all you need to do is register. So register your class, complete the challenge, which is 10 sessions, and celebrate your work, which you will do on session 10. So there's 10 sessions and they're all named. And as Pauline was saying, this year the theme is Cargo Connect. So it's all around transport, delivering packages, and then the names of the sessions are all broken down. So let's discover, let's deliver, let's transport, let's sort, let's innovate, let's explore jobs, which really gets us involved in the community as well. Let's use ramps, let's improve, let's connect, and then let's celebrate. So the layout for doing a First LEGO League session is we have a warm-up, which we use the 6 bricks that Ross briefly touched on. So we warm up with them normally for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then we have task 1, which is normally like a discussion, kind of introducing the session. And normally we do this in a circle time. So we sit down for circle time, and this is where we do our task 1. And it's really interesting. So you might be talking about transport, and can anyone name a transport, mode of transport? And then we might talk about how everyone got to school today. So did anyone use a mode of transportation to get here? And, and I'd record all their answers as well. And we would always record the answers in any circle time discussion. But it's so funny when we started doing our circle times based on First LEGO League, the answers were getting so just evolving so much and becoming way more detailed, and their language was growing and everything, because we were coming so far in the session. So from session 1 to session 5, there was a huge jump in what the children were telling me. And now we've got into a little habit that every morning when they come into school, they're like, I came on my scooter, or like, I walked to school, or I took the Lewis, and then they always ask me like, did you take the train today? And I'm like, yeah. And then it's great, because then it's like, what do I need to get on the train or the Lewis? And they're like, a ticket. And so it's got us talking so much more in the classroom, and being way more involved in everything. And you'll see later on how concept that they've learned in First LEGO League has actually followed through to other areas of the classroom, and I'll show you that later on. Then task 2 is where they get to explore with their STEAM Park kit, and be able to explore and build different modes of transportation. It might be, we might have the Discover mat out, and they might be, bringing the van with packages over to the docking station, and then they might be loaded into the boat, and they go on with it. One session we were doing that, and one of the children was like, I need to deliver this to America. So I went to our continental folder, I took out the flag of America, and we put that on a seat. And the children then, so they went with their van, dropped off their packages to the boat. The boat went on the water, and then that was like the end of the table. And then they were like, oh, we can't make it to America. We need an airplane. And that's why it's so good that we have the groups, because then someone else in the group is like, I know how to build the airplane, and they'll go and build the airplane. They'll fly in and they'll land, and the packages will be loaded on, and then we'll fly over to America and everything. And America had a really busy day there about 3 weeks ago, because the flag and the chair was overfilled with all these packages they were delivering. But that's the amazing thing about teamwork, was they all nearly gave themselves a little job, and this was without me butting in or anything. It was all them and all their creativity. The only thing that I did was I heard the comment about America, and I ran and got the American flag and put it down on the chair, and they figured everything else out. So and they used the little figures as well, and they were trying to hold the package and carry it over. And it was just incredible. And it's great even for their fine motor control and everything. But I love that example of it, because that was like the day that I was like, oh my God, they just love this. And their communication and their teamwork skills had just improved and enhanced so much. And then task 3 then is where we reflect on our work. So you can use your engineering notebook for this with the children. And some of the children absolutely love this. And then others just want to tell us, and that's absolutely fine. We'll record it down for them. But it's lovely that we get to share. And the first week that we did this, it was kind of individual, whereas now, like, they're all sitting being like, what did you build today? And then it's like, wow, I love that. And, like they might be like, I never thought of putting that one there and things like that. So it's very much that they're learning from each other too. And then after task 3, we all help with the cleanup, and then we move on to lunch normally after that. And during lunch, the conversations just continue, like there. And I find that at lunch, they're kind of stay in their little groups, and they want to like keep talking about what they can do and maybe plan what they're going to do next week and everything. Like they just absolutely adore it. So how STEAM and First Language League promote language? So children quickly learn and understand STEAM concepts. However, they may need support in developing the vocabulary to talk about what they learn. It is important to introduce STEAM language as children explore their environments. So we have to focus on supporting the emerging concepts, for example, supporting underpinning concepts linked to maths or science. So, again, if the child is building the tower up vertically, you might be asking them, what pieces they're going to put on the bottom. So, because they might need to put a heavier piece at the bottom so that it will stand and everything. So it's all about linking to all the concepts. So encourage children to predict and provide opportunities for them to infer. So basically predicting what they think is going to happen, and also providing the opportunities for them to be able to do this by asking questions. So for example, what do you think will happen next? So giving them that opportunity to predict what they think is going to happen. Use hands-on learning with real objects to help children learn the language and key concepts. And I think it's really great about having the figurines as well. And the figurines are actually really diverse. And a lot of the times the conversation happens, that like, maybe the figurine looks like someone, and then this figurine might look like someone else, or the color of hairs and everything. So it's really interesting, that they're learning all about their identity and belonging, kind of subconsciously with that too. So STEAM provides children with real life learning experiences for using language and building communication skills. And I think that example earlier just showed that, where they were all using teamwork and communication to help build different things. And children learn new content words in real, meaningful and stimulating contexts. So kind of the buzzwords that come to my mind when I think of First Language League Discover is create, explore, discover, experiment. And here are just some examples of things that the children have made. So here, the first one we can see is like a vertical building going up. And this is actually an apartment block. And the bear lives in the penthouse, I was told. And then there was lovely flowers on the top, and that was the garden. And this was really interesting because the child who built this actually spent, I would say, about 25 minutes just trying to make sure that it balanced, because on the tuff tray it wouldn't. It kept falling down because there's a little bit of a slope in ours, which also was good because we got to talk about that as well and link that to underpinning concepts. And then they were like, oh, we need to get something for underneath. And then they found the green board. And then when they put it on that, it helped to balance it out. Then we have on the top one on the other side, we have the train tracks, and the child had built a train. And then on the bottom, these are the cogs and gears that I was talking about. And this child put a ball on top and was trying to turn it to see would the ball stay or would the ball roll off, so it was really good. And even with that, like, we got to talk about shapes and everything then, so it was really interesting with that too. And also this child was fascinated that he didn't have to move all the cogs. If he just, the way he had put them down on the green board, if he just moved one, all of them twisted because they were kind of connected with each other. So it moved them all. And he was very fascinated with this. And it gave us lots to talk about the movement, how it was rotating, the speed that it went at, and things like this. So what learning takes place? So First Language League Discover allows children to engage with tall structures, slides and transport, which makes them critically think about the design and plan, and then how they are going to build it, which links to engineering. This also teaches the child about movement, motion, size, weight and balance. Children are also working with cogs, wheels, and much more. And during this, they are observing and learning about movement and speed. The children can also add in slopes and ramps, which then allow them to explore with concepts such as fast and slow. So here is a child's progress, and it still baffles me how far the children have come. So the first picture, I asked the child, you know, oh, tell me about your design. What did you make? And they said a picnic. And that was the only language that I got. There was no, you know, telling about the different animals or anything in it. It was just a picnic. Then fast forward a couple of weeks. Here we have a seesaw. So I asked the child again, what did you make? And her reply was a seesaw. We put one bear off and then it wibbled. But when we have two, it just balanced. So again, now we got to talk about weight and how when we took one off, it wibbled. So it became wobbly. And then, but when we put the bear back in, now it was balanced. And this girl thought of this all by herself. And then I was able to come in after she told me what she made and talk about different things. And then what we did was we took one bear out and then we went and we maybe got the cat or the squirrel and put that in to see if it would balance. Or we might have put another Lego brick. And then we would see, you know, then we would say like, oh, so the, you know, cat must be lighter than the bear because it wibbled, you know, or the block and the bear must be the same weight because it was balanced, you know. So we got to talk about weight and use, you know, different like new vocabulary like lighter, heavier, things like this. But in such a short space of time that this was the progress already made was just absolutely fantastic. And even just with her engineering skills, planning and designing this and seeing what pieces would go where and everything compared to, so the picnic, it's brilliant. It's flat, everything's stuck onto the board. Whereas then a couple of weeks later, she's building with new pieces of Lego. If you look at the first picture, there's actually no Lego block in it really. And now look at the creation that she's made from it. So I just think that this shows the progress really, really well. And the language that came with it as well. I got 2 words the first time and here I nearly got a paragraph. And, you know, even her language that she had already like wibbled and balanced, you know, it was already so good. And then we got to enhance that and bring it further. So the best thing about First Lego League Discover is that children are learning so much because it's so fun, it's so meaningful, and they don't even realize, like, they're having such a great time. They're not realizing all the learning that they have, and then all of a sudden they're, you know, putting it all into all areas of the classroom. So how they use their knowledge and concepts learned in different areas of the classroom. So as we were saying, First Lego League's theme this year is all about Cargo Connect and transporting and delivering packages and going to the sorting centre to sort them out and everything. So here we have our train tracks from our construction area, and the child built a train track, built the train, and then in the last carriage, it's open, and they put small Lego bricks into it and said that these were the packages and they were off to deliver them to the shop. And I was just blown away. It was remarkable how they just one morning came in and everything had clicked with them, and here they are now, even introducing their knowledge and concepts that they learned from First Lego League into their everyday environment. And I think the best part about this is obviously how they packed up the last carriage, but also if you look, we have a little car wash. So again, how they problem solve and think creatively in First Lego League Discover in the sessions has helped them in all areas, because we lost the 2 little pieces that help the car wash to stand. So there were 2 little white things and we lost them. And you know, sometimes when you lose stuff, you sometimes just go to put it in the bin and things like that, but we always keep them. I'm a bit of a hoarder, so I always keep them. And I had it in the box, and I just said, like, I'll see, they might still get some enjoyment out of it, and they'll figure out different things. So when they put it up with the train tracks, it kept falling down. And I was just observing, and I said to them, I said, like, oh, what do you have to do to help that stand? Like, what could you do? And they really thought, and then they went and got these little blocks from the construction area, and they put the 2 blocks in front. So they brought over 2, and they put 2 of them in front, and then they stood up the car wash, and it fell again. And I said, is there anything else you can do? So they went back and got 2 more blocks, and then they sandwiched the car wash in between 2 blocks on one side and in between 2 blocks on the other side. And then it stood because it was balanced between them. And I just thought that was fascinating. And I personally don't think it would have happened without First Lego League Discover. One, they're constantly thinking outside of the box, constantly being creative and everything. But also, I don't think I would have noticed this happening and questioned it. I probably would have just went and tried to fix it for them. Whereas I've learned as a practitioner now to step back and allow the child to do it. And I would have thought I never jumped in on anything that children did. But actually now I realize I jumped in so much more than I ever realized. And the fact now that I can just let them explore and be this creative is just incredible. Like, it actually brings a tear to my eye because I'm so proud of them. And I really think that First Lego League has helped with their confidence and with my confidence. And I just think our classroom is such a better place now with it. And we're using our learning throughout all areas of the classroom and everything. And even with our groups, they're really after like creating such strong bonds and learning more from their peers and everything. And it's just absolutely amazing. And as Ross said earlier, you know, it really is that First Lego League Discover is inspiring the creators of tomorrow. I think that's so true because there's so many of them. And I'm literally like, you can grow up and be anything that you want to be, you know, because there are so many skills they're learning already. And as Pauline was saying, they're skills that you need later on in life, you know, in the workforce as well. But I'll leave it there. And thank you so much for attending tonight and listening as well. And I'll just leave you on this quote. So, through unstructured exploration, we foster the development of imagination and creativity. And I think, you know, First Lego League Discover, just providing those resources has allowed the children to do just that. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Natasha. That was absolutely so passionate. I can feel the pride oozing out of you.
Definitely. Off the screen.
Absolutely fabulous. I'm particularly interested in that part where the children are collaborating together to solve these problems, and it's one of the things that STEAM education brings to children, that ability to sort of think outside the box and resolve issues independently, and come up with these new and innovative ideas as to how to use the resources, as well as solve problems when they occur. So it's absolutely wonderful to see that taking place. It's going to be brilliant. The piece of research that we're working on is going to show so much really interesting areas that, where the children have developed these concepts over the period of the course of the weeks. It's going to be wonderful. We'll invite Pauline to come back to us, and Ross, if he's about. Don't know whether Ross is back yet. He's not back. Okay, so we'll invite Pauline to come back to us. What did you think, Pauline?
Natasha, you're just amazing. I was sitting here just in awe, going like, you're who I want to be when I grow up. You're so passionate, and it's so lovely to hear somebody so passionate about not just about what they're doing, but about who they're doing it with, and seeing you discover all all of that learning as you're going along with the children has been just, it's amazing. But I was just sitting kind of fangirling over you,
Well, very interesting. I was watching the little comments there, and I see we have a lot of questions that have popped up there. So we'll maybe delve into a few of them here. What advice would you give to someone who's nervous? And this is something that's quite important. I see that in practice quite a lot, where people think that maybe they can't do science, they're no good at maths, they're no good at technology. What advice would you have for them, Natasha?
Well, actually, this question actually resonates with me, because I was actually really nervous, because I was like, am I going to be able to implement this? Like, am I going to be able to do it and everything? And it was actually the support of Pauline Ross and their colleague Neve as well, who reassured me and that I would be able to do it. And I think the team meeting notebooks are so well laid out that anybody could go in and do this. And I think, as I was saying, like, we don't have to already know anything about it, because we will learn with the children. So rather than thinking I need to know everything that the children are going to do, take a step back and be like, okay, do you know what? I'm not sure about this topic. So let's all learn together and see, where that learning takes you as well. But I would definitely do that. And I think a really good thing is, like, no mistake is ever a mistake. Like, you can make 100 mistakes, but you'll learn from every single one of them. And I think that's the whole reason of the program. Like, we'll learn with the children. So if you don't know something, take out your laptop, show them technology, show that you're Googling to find the answer, and then implement it and share that knowledge that you just found out as well. So don't be nervous. I was really nervous though, but at the start.
I do remember how nervous you were.
It was, and I was like, oh God, like, where do I go now and what do I do and everything? But it's actually, once you sit back and relax, you'll have so much fun, and you'll just learn with the children, and you'll follow their lead, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are kind of running the program nearly in our classroom.
Absolutely.
I think that's very important, because it is play, and that's the thing that you sort of need to remember, that it is play. They're learning through play, and this is where these concepts sort of emerge from. And it's nearly a natural occurrence when you collaborate together that this takes place. Yeah.
And it's a really nice thing for them to hear. I don't know, but let's find out the answer together.
Yeah,
it is.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Another little question here. Are there any other activities that you could recommend that will also support the language of STEAM?
I mean, I feel like Natasha covered off tons of that within her presentation, but like there's so much that you can be doing throughout it. Like, if you're looking at science, there's lots of different exercises with even just watching flowers grow, we'll show them their biology, if you are learning about the plant, anything like that within the classroom, any of those, even just being outside watching how the flowers go, all of those kind of things are helping develop those spark that bit of interest in them.
I think the little workshops, those hands-on workshops that we're planning in Portobello, they are going to sort of send that message home too, that sort of naturally occurring aspect of STEAM, because I mean, it is there every day, and Natasha did touch on that, but on a daily basis, if you actually stop and think about these underpinning concepts, they're there. They're continually sort of around us, no matter what children do, even if they pour a drop of water into the sand, and the fact that the sand has changed and it's taken on a different texture and so on, and that all is part of science and so on for children, so yeah, very important. So there's lots and lots of stuff out there that show that change. Another question there: as a practitioner, we see children engage with and use Lego. What makes this particular strategy so different? So ordinary Lego on a daily basis, we've all seen it. So why is this Lego so different? Pauline?
Do you want me to answer that? Well, I suppose it's not, It's actually not any different to what you're doing with Lego all the time within the classroom. But what it's doing is it's giving you, the practitioner, those additional tools to help to develop those skills with the children. So it's giving structure to what you're already doing within the classroom. And as Natasha says, it's giving you the tools and it's giving you the language so that you can then give them the tools and language to go with it. And I suppose within, if we're talking specifics about it, if they are using the STEAM Park kit, there is lovely pieces within the STEAM Park kit, you know, around like cogs and wheels, the little balance pieces and so on, and they lend themselves really well to those kind of discussions around balance, around size, around all of those kind of things. And actually, you know, back to what you were talking about earlier, Natasha, I didn't, because I saw a comment from somebody earlier saying, I don't know what a cog is. When I first started, I only learned how gears worked and how gearing works when I started working with Lego. And I remember sitting there with a group of 8-year-olds when they were learning what gears were, going, oh, that's how gears work. And I had never understood the concept of gearing up and gearing down or any of those type of things until I started working with Lego. I shouldn't admit that, but it's true.
Natasha, would you like to add anything there?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think that reaction happens a lot actually in early years as well. And then the question's gone off the screen. So what was it again? The first question?
Can we pop it back up again? Oh, the Lego. What was the difference with the Lego,
Oh, yeah.
ordinary Lego and the Lego?
Yeah. So like we always had ordinary Lego, and we actually also have a bit of Duplo Lego in our construction area. And yes, the children interacted with it and everything. But there was just something about bringing in First Lego League that children who never even looked at a piece of Lego ever now wanted to get involved with it. And there is very unique sides to it, like even the different figurines and everything. You know, we didn't have that. And now this was with the First Lego League. And as well, they were sitting down and they could do this with the Lego, but it was more of an opportunity for them to sit down and integrate with their peers a bit more. Like when the children take out the Lego, maybe 2 people are at it. And sometimes they're just playing parallel from each other. They're just so focused on building their own thing. Like, you know, they just want to build their car or build their house, whatever. Whereas I think in First Lego League Discover with the STEAM Park kits, obviously it was something new, they were so interested, but also I think it allowed them to explore with the language and communication with their peers. And in fairness, it has actually extended onto the construction area when now they would take out the Lego a lot more and they would take out the blocks a lot more. But there's just something about the process that the children are learning and being more creative with it, because I suppose there's more things like the cogs and the ramps and everything that I wouldn't have in my construction area that now they were trying to figure out, you know, and use. And even the figurines and the animals, like once the children saw like there was cats and squirrels and bears and a horse, they were like, yeah, this is me, I am dying to use this. But it has actually ignited their interest in the Lego already. And also because it's the Duplo, a lot of the children, even the younger ones who are 2.5 and 3, they find it a lot easier to make something with it than the smaller Lego. So that really got them interested in the process as well.
So the ability even to manage it, because it's that little bit bigger. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
What it does is they get something. They can build something more meaningful with less pieces than the traditional small Lego pieces will do. So they can put 6 or 7 pieces together, and it will be something for them, and it will appear more than it would be with the smaller pieces.
Yeah, and that's very important for children, isn't it? That they've actually got a final product. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Stress and anxiety in children. Do you think is Lego useful for this also, particularly if we're looking at children perhaps with autism, ADHD?
Yeah, and now I will admit I don't know a huge amount about it. I know that there is very specific Lego therapy, which is quite similar to play therapy that children can undergo with it. I know within my own setting that I ran, any of the children who did suffer with anxiety or stress or any of those type of things, I definitely found that taking out the Lego blocks and giving them the space to sit and work with it was incredibly helpful for those. But I wouldn't be able to speak to any of the Lego therapy things, but I do know that there are a number of different companies that offers, and there are courses and so on that you can do around Lego therapy, and they are some are excellent.
Yeah, and just from practice as well, you know, like Pauline was saying, they actually find it quite calming in my classroom a lot of the time. And, you know, even if we have a child who has just started and maybe is finding the transition a little bit difficult, we always find that the Lego can ease the anxiety. And also they love that, like, there is like different textures of the Lego blocks. So one side might be bumpy, as they tell me, and then the other side might be soft, and they really like integrating and interacting with it and seeing, you know, what they can build. And I think it just helps them to rewind a little bit and kind of relax and think about what they're going to do and then implement it. So from practice, I think it would too, but obviously I can't say too much on it, but do look into the therapy around Lego or anything, because I'm sure it would be very beneficial.
Yeah, and for children with autism, it's the whole idea of the consistency is useful in terms of the building and constructing things, and it's quite therapeutic when they're concentrating. It can be used to distract children too. If they're sort of a little bit hyper, they can then the concentration that's involved, it helps to calm them down somewhat. Yeah. The T in STEAM is technology. So how do you feel about the use of technology in early years?
I was actually, if you asked me this question 4 or 5 years ago, I probably would have been like, no, I would never use technology in my classroom, la la. And I suppose it was through my studies that you realize how big technology is already in a child's life. Like, it's a digital childhood. They're growing up with it. So I think it's really important that we do integrate it into our classroom and show children different ways that we can use technology and, explore with it, like little things like taking down the laptop because I didn't know the answer to a question, and, researching it and showing them, maybe a video or images, or reading text from it or anything like that. And also little things like even just like a CD and a CD player. Like, a CD player would be using technology in your classroom, and you'd be talking about how, when you put the CD in now, is it reading the music? And if you put the CD in upside down, it can't read it because it doesn't work, and things like this. So you don't necessarily have to sit down and put an iPad in front of them. You can use it in all different ways, like integrate it during circle time for a discussion, or using the CD player, or even having like the telephone, disconnected, in the home corner. But I think it's important, and especially with COVID-19, like, we went to remote teaching for the children. Like, I did my online circle times, and they were so good at interacting. Like, they were putting all the love hearts to me and everything. And I know one child who watched used to type in their own name on the keyboard and send it in to me, and things like that. And even on the Zoom calls, so they're very much growing up in a digital childhood. So now I would really embrace it, because, to be honest, they're probably better at technology than I am at this stage. So, but I definitely would now. But if you had asked me that question a couple of years ago, I probably wouldn't. But I suppose it's through my studies that I was learning a bit more about how to integrate it, effectively for them.
My feeling on it is that there's absolutely a place for technology for children, just as there is a place for any other things. But my main thing with it is that, if we're going to, they have access to as much technology as they want at home. So my feeling on it is that if there's going to be technology within a classroom, it should be used for creation rather than consumption. So if there's a creative element to it when they're in it, absolutely go for it. There's amazing things that you can do with technology. But if it's just a case of just passively getting things, then I would, there's nothing that beats somebody sitting in front of you reading a story as opposed to playing a video of a story. So that would be my feeling on it. But there's no getting away from technology.
I think
we're living in the future.
Well, it is, yeah. And I think too, people tend to, when you say technology, they automatically think iPad, laptop, but it's so much more. Like, I mean, even robotics and things like that, where we can teach children left, right, under, above, so on, all of those things,
I will
all
say,
fall into that category.
I
Go
know I've
ahead,
told
Sarah.
you this before, Margarita, but my son has had a language delay, but it's improving hugely now. But his speech improved hugely when we got Google Home, because Google wouldn't understand him, and he wanted to be able to talk to Google and ask questions. So he spent hours perfecting Hey Google, so that he could get Google to listen to him and answer questions to him, and he would stand there and practice. So, ironically enough, having it in the house, and the girls know that I have a Google Home here beside me in the office, and he now regularly, I had to plug it out here this evening because he will regularly send messages, voice messages down to me and broadcast down to me now. But that in itself has been
Yeah, and
was a real
I know
help.
he loves banana bread.
He does
After
love
the
banana
meeting we
bread,
had
you're right.
last week.
He does.
Indeed. In order for the language of STEAM to become evident in the classroom, do you think the practitioner need to plan activities with this in mind, or do you think that it's something that should emerge naturally?
I think it is.
Natasha.
I think it is something that will emerge naturally. We don't necessarily need to plan, but what I would recommend is to provide the resources in order for the children to explore with them and everything. So it's a bit like First Lego League Discover. We're, supplying them with the resources of everything in the STEAM park, and then it's up to them what they want to build, what their idea of transport is, what their idea is for building something linked to Cargo Connect. And then it's from there that then we build on the emerging concepts that come from the questions. Now, if you want, feel free to plan a few activities, but it will actually emerge naturally and sometimes all we need to do is sit back and observe and actually watch it unfold, and then jump in when we need to expand that vocabulary and that knowledge. But I think if we provide the resources, this will all just unfold.
Yeah, I think it's very important that we do sort of sit back and allow the children to engage on their own. And as you say, the resources are there, and when the children start to engage with those resources, then the learning sort of emerges itself. So yeah, definitely. Pauline, do you want to add to that?
I would agree with you. You can, I suppose, any sort of prepared environment, you're going to have it so that there's opportunities for learning all around them. And, I always think if you can never plan too much within an early years setting anyway. So like your natural instinct is to follow the child and follow their learning, follow their interests. But, to have, as Natasha said, have those little things in place for you so that that will encourage those discussions and encourage that.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons why that the understanding of the concepts is very important from the practitioner's point of view, so that when we see that and we can recognize it immediately, and then we can step in and start to enhance that sort of learning that's beginning to emerge. Another little question there. Sarah is rightly saying that was a brilliant presentation, Natasha.
Thank
Very
you.
interesting. And do you think your own understanding of STEAM, particularly for the Lego supporting STEAM, do you think that has developed as part of the strategy?
Big time. I thought STEAM was something that I needed to implement, and it was under my nose the whole time. And I didn't even realize, I thought that if I didn't do a science experiment, I wasn't linking to science, even though I could just walk outside and ask the children about the weather. But you know what I mean? These are little things that I didn't realize beforehand. And definitely, I didn't realize the importance for Lego for so many things, even just their fine motor skills, their hand-eye coordination. It's all these little things that I just completely forgot that children can gain from using Lego. And definitely Lego for introducing concepts of STEAM. It's actually so important. And I think as well with the Lego, it was so fun and meaningful for the children and they were having such a good time. It did let me maybe say like, okay, yeah, now I can actually delve deeper and see what these, what they know and how we can build on that. But definitely I would recommend any setting to have the biggest box of Lego and Duplo Lego and First Lego League Discover, and to implement it, and just to sit back, observe, and let it all unfold. Because I was a practitioner who thought I needed to implement STEAM, and it was already there. Even when we ask a question, we're able to link it to STEAM then. But definitely, in particular, Lego allowed me to realize this. And when a child builds with Lego, you can link it to so many areas. It's just incredible. And I think it's kind of one very simple thing that children can do, that you can actually link it to all areas of STEAM in a very easy and effective way, and build on that knowledge. And the best thing about Lego is they can break it up, they can build it again, or they can build something else that then lets us expand on the vocabulary and the underpinning concepts even further than the next time they build it. Even just a question of, oh, why did you build it differently this time? Or, what did you change about it the last time? So definitely gets the questions flowing. And I love it. And I wouldn't have been somebody who, even realize the importance of it. And I'm ratting on myself here, but it's the truth. And I can't believe it now, because my classroom is so different.
Pauline, what about you? I'm just thinking of, we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about the little duck. I know I'm talking about this duck all day, but anyway, the little duck.
Sorry.
And how many different ways it can be created, and it's the same set of blocks and same so on for everybody. So that's sort of, when you're talking there, Natasha, I'm thinking about the children and they're remaking something and it's coming out slightly different and so on. So even though you're using the same blocks, you're using the same set of materials and so on, there's so much more creativity and there's so much more imagination to be had. Yeah. Pauline,
and they're bringing their own experience to it.
And they're bringing their own experience to it. And I love the way too that they can link it back to natural occurrences that happen outside of the set and real life experience that they might have engaged with and so on. So all that makes it so much more real for them. Yeah, definitely. Aoife wants to hear more about the workshops that we've planned or that we're planning. Pauline, do you want to share some of that?
Yeah, so over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some in-person workshops. We're going to have some online workshops, and we're going to have some click-through courses. So Michelle will be sending out information within the next week or so with details of them. But I suppose the main plan is to have workshops looking at kind of the underpinning the underpinning theories around STEAM education and how to introduce that within an earlier setting. And then we're also going to have kind of more practical sessions on practical things that you can do, because I think it's really important for anyone, if you're thinking about introducing anything within your setting, it's really important to understand how to do it, but also why you're doing it. Those two things, and I suppose that's kind of what's happened with Natasha here. It's the understand. If you understand why you're doing something in a particular way, you're far more likely to, you're far more likely to be more passionate about it and to understand the how. So.
Yeah, and even to develop it into further stages. If you've got that understanding there to begin with, it's much easier for you then to step on and take those children's learning to the next stage. Because you have the understanding yourself, definitely. Yeah. So the workshops are going to look at some of those more practical, and that whole idea of STEAM being naturally there and where we can see it and where we often miss it. And as Natasha said, you can walk outside and talk about the weather instead of doing a science experiment. Definitely, because it's still there. They're the underpinning concepts that children need to have before we can take them anywhere else. If you think about numeracy and you think about maths, we don't sit 2 and 3 year olds down and teach them their 10 times tables. We have to introduce the concept of number first, so that they recognize, that they understand that there's what a certain amount of blocks are. And a video clip that Natasha shared with me there a couple of weeks ago, and it was quite interesting the way the children were actually moving the blocks as they counted them back and forward. So rather than having rote learning, there was distinct understanding as to when they moved. When they said one, they moved one. When they said two, they moved two, and so on. And that showed that the concept was there, the understanding was there. So that's the type of thing that we're going to be introducing and looking at and developing. Okay. A question for Natasha. How many kids are in each group, and do you carry out each task in small groups or as a class?
So we do it as a class. So the whole class gets involved, and depending on how many children are in on a given day, normally we do about groups of 4. However, if we only have like a group of 12 in, we might just separate them into 6 and 6 depending. So it's very flexible to what suits your classroom and everything. So but normally we do work in groups of 4. However, it just depends on how many children it is, and we offer it to the whole class. And it's the one thing that we offer to the whole class, and everyone gets involved in it, because I could offer anything to the whole class and I'll always have a group who want to do something else, and that's absolutely fine. But just for First Cycle League, they're all absolutely in love with it. And I have one child, so we do the warm up with the 6 bricks, and he just stands at the box and waits, and I'm like, that's fine, you can get them out now, and he'll just wait. And even though I say you can get them out now and pass them around, he'll wait until everyone hands back up their 6 bricks. He won't have even touched them, and he'll just stand at the box. And then the minute everyone hands them up, he's gone with them. And they're actually a little bit heavy, and he flies them over to the tables. So even that's like a little job. And again, like if I set up another activity, that child might not want to be interested in it at all, and that's okay. But I do offer it to the whole class. Thankfully, they do all enjoy it. But if anyone didn't, they could do something else down, in another part of the classroom if they wanted to. But we do groups of 4. And then myself and my colleague, Katie, we kind of split ourselves throughout the group and work with them then as well. So that's how
I know
we do
that
it.
the kits can be between 4 and 8 children, because I saw somebody was asking about, like, do you have to buy a pack of 30? And I don't think you have to do that. You don't have to buy like a full classroom pack for 30 students. So like it depends on your classroom, depends on how things work within your room. It depends how many practitioners you have in your room. So if you've got somebody who can pull over a group and do it in small groups, great. If it works better in a large group, I suppose the whole idea behind it is that you can cater it to work with the group that you have. I do know that initially, when it's run in, say, primary school classrooms, because it has been rolled out in kind of junior and senior infants classes, in those classrooms, traditionally that happens as a large group, and everyone works with it together. But earlier settings are fundamentally different in that way. So it just depends on your setting. It depends on what works for you.
Yeah. And also I'll add, we have 19 children in our class. So anyone who maybe has more children might find the groups a little bit different. And also the age range of our class, just if anyone's wondering, is 2.5 to 5.5, just to show how, one program can suit the whole age range of your classroom as well. And again, all children are different, but they all love this.
I think that's the important thing about Lego too, isn't it? That children can engage with it to suit their own ability, and their own age range, and nobody's ever wrong. Whatever you make, whatever you create, it's your creation. You've done it, you've thought about it, and so on. So certain concepts creep in, that are relevant to the age we're working with and we're talking about. Yeah, very good, very good. I think we're going to leave it there for. Oh, maybe we're not. How many? Oh no, we are. Yes, I thought that was a new question popping up. I think we're going to leave. I was going to give you another one, Natasha. I think we're going to leave it there for tonight, folks. If anybody has any questions that haven't been answered, we can and we will dip in and answer them for you afterwards when the content goes up online. I'd just like to thank Natasha and Pauline and Ross, who isn't with us anymore, but we'll thank him anyway, for the interesting presentations this evening. And I can't wait to hear more about this Lego League and this research that we're undergoing there in the setting. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Love to read about it now when it's all done. So
thanks so much.
Thank you very much, folks.
Margarita, thanks, Pauline.
All right. Thank you, everybody.